Hey, William, can I have a strawberry?
No.
Oh, well, I have my own anyway.
We'll show you how you can score some berries next on Garden Time. Welcome to Garden Time, and welcome to the last hour-long show of this season.
But don't worry, because we'll be a half hour now through the end of November.
We are out here at Smith Berry Barn enjoying some fresh berries, and later on in the show, we're going to be talking to Joelle about how you too can buy fresh berries, take them home, and what you can do to extend their freshness.
And also coming up, we'll show you some very cool grills.
And we are going to take you down to the city of Lebanon to see a beautiful Japanese garden.
But first, some shrubs for sun and shade.
Well, I'm standing by one of my favorite people in the industry, and this is Brenda from Garland Nursery in Corvallis. And Brenda, today we're going to be talking about actually two very different types of plants.
Yes.
Deep shade, full sun.
Yes.
So let's just jump right in with the shade ones.
Okay, great. I want to say that all of the plants, both sun and shade, are water-wise plants.
Nice.
So that's what we're talking about today. So dry shade, hot, dry sun. So tough as cast iron. This is the cast iron plant, Aspidistra, if you want the funny sounding botanical name. It is, you can't kill it, basically.
It is so true, isn't
Yes.
it? I mean, and it's a house plant too. I mean, it goes all over the board.
Yep.
Lovely.
So full shade, 2 to 3 feet tall, and about the same in width.
This is a brilliant thing.
Isn't that gorgeous? It's so outstanding. So this is Watnong Gold U. And the very few conifers that like shade, tolerate shade, yews are one, hemlocks are another. This one is going to, in lots of shade, is going to have just a burst of gold new growth and be more green. If it gets a little bit more sun, so you had an area that was half day sun, half day shade, it would be this color.
So then it's gonna, after it comes out, it'll probably go back to the greener part, but the new growth will always pop that color.
Yes, correct.
Nice.
So what a wonderful light addition to a shady area.
True.
Another great
lovely.
light addition for a shady area and great texture plant are the Fatzias or Aurelias. This one's spiderweb, which has the beautiful white coloring to it. There's also one called camouflage, which has gold if you want to, tie all your gold things together. I really love golden chartreuse in the shade, so I'd probably pick that one. Huge leaves. Those leaves get gigantic, and it is a tall grower to 6-7 feet tall, and gets pretty big around once the clump gets established as well. Super cool. This one is Sarcococa, which is another horrible botanical name. The short kind is called sweet box. Sometimes they apply that to all the different ones. This one happens to also be called fragrant Sarcococa. It blooms about the same time that Daphne starts. Teeny tiny flowers. You'd walk by them, never notice them, but they
you'll
pack
smell
a
them, won't you?
wonderful
Right.
fragrance. And again, it'll grow in complete shade. Up to part day sun, and it also works in a container too if you can give it a little shearing.
Right.
The short ones get about 18 inches and then they spread out like a ground cover, and the tallest ones get about 5 feet. You can prune them as a hedge kind of thing if you want to do that.
And these both look like acubias, are they?
They are, they sure are. This one is picturata, and this one is ceratifolia. There's also another one called Rosanni, which is a little more compact, but these in general can get from 4 to 6 feet. If they're in an area where they are more drought tolerant, then they're going to be on the shorter end.
Nice.
They get berries if you have a male. The male variety is called Mr. Goldstrike, and so they get clusters of red berries that are really cool too.
Okay, Brenda, so this is the great plants you picked out for shade.
Yes.
Let's step over here and look at the sun ones now.
Okay.
Tell me about these.
All right, so starting with one of the more spectacular ones, the crepe myrtles come in various sizes. Everything from a dwarf, the Dazzler series, which is a 3-foot grower. This is Red Rooster. It's a mid-sized grower to to 8 to 10 feet tall, and then there's some that get as tall as 20 feet and make nice small trees.
And they're great because that means no matter what space you need to get one of these in full hot sun,
Yes.
there's a selection now that you can do
Correct.
that. Nice.
They do lose their leaves, but look at this stunning new growth
Right.
on this one. There's a couple others that are almost a black red, really
Yeah.
cool. And they bloom really late in the summer too, which is a nice thing. So many things bloom in the spring that you don't have as many shrubs with good color
Yeah,
later on in the
true.
season. So that's one appeal of these. And they love it hot. They need it hot to get real good bloom. And they also have nice bark too.
They do, yes, that is
so
true.
It's really year-round interest, even though they don't have leaves in the wintertime. This is another big grower. This is Chast tree, Vitex. And it gets these gorgeous lavender flowers, big flowers that are fragrant and attract the bees and butterflies and other pollinators. So it's a fantastic shrub, and it is probably one of the most drought-resistant plants
it's true. You're
around.
right.
But it is good size. They get 15 plus feet tall. So give it some space. I've heard some people do cut them down every year to keep them a little more contained.
And they'll just come back from the ground then. Lovely. And I love that you have on both of these a selection of conifers for shade.
Yes, and one thing to keep in mind with conifers, so the gold ones obviously like a little more shade in general, even the ones that are more sun tolerant, if they're real hot in the sun, they'll burn. But the ones that are great for hot sun are the silvery blue to green foliage varieties. And this one is a true blue cypress. It's very similar to the boulevard cypress, maybe a little smaller, growing to about 6 feet tall in 10 years.
Yeah.
It also works in a container as well. And don't you want to kind of pet it?
They're
It's
cuddly.
So soft.
They are
They're-
cuddly.
As opposed to those pines and things that aren't.
And then I know both of these, though, are similar in the sense that they require the same stuff, don't they?
Yes, yes. Full sun, they're drought tolerant. Rock rose is wonderful. I think we lost the flowers on that this morning in the wind, but it has, this one's sunset. There's various colors. It has a real hot pink flower. There's a white one, crimson spotted, and orchid rock rose, which has a bigger flower on it. And fantastic silvery green to gray to all green foliage. They do get pretty good sized, although we were talking earlier that where they're more in a more drought situation, they're going to be smaller than if they're watered on a regular basis.
If you give them more water, they'll get bigger. Right.
But they'll get anywhere from 2 to 4 feet tall and probably double that at least in width. So give them some space. Heavenly
And
bamboo.
then quickly on this one, these
Nandina.
go ahead. These are just the same idea, full sun,
Yep.
and they're drought tolerant.
And they're
eventually.
drought tolerant and nice new growth. This one's Tuscan Flame. There's some other different varieties, but beautiful red new growth.
Lovely.
And these are both evergreen as well as the cypress.
So, Brenda, what happens if nothing grows in your space?
Well, there's always a goat.
And so you have these available
We
right
sure
now,
do.
don't you?
We sure do.
Well, we love coming out here to Garland Nursery in Corvallis. So, rain or shine, come on out here. You can pick out a goat.
Yeah.
You can pick out sun plants, shade plants, anything you need for your garden. It's always a pleasure coming out here. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
You deserve the best, so at Capital Subaru, we make sure you're getting the best experience at every touch point. Award-winning customer service, a wide selection of new Subarus to choose from, 2 years complimentary service on all new vehicles, and perks you'll only find at Capital Subaru. Start your next adventure on the Parkway.
Kick off summer in the versatile new 2017 Subaru Forester 2.5i. Lease just $221 per month with 0 down, or make no payments for 120 days.
Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
The health and beauty of your garden starts from the ground up, and healthy soils begin at Grimm's Fuel. For the best in garden mulch, blended soils, and bark dust, choose Grimm's. U-Haul delivered or installed, Grimm's can do it. And if you're looking for a new lawn, Grimm's can do that too with our special lawn installation service. Grimm's is also the area's largest recycler of yard debris. The foundation for a healthy garden begins at Grimm's Fuel.
Over the 30 years that our family has been in the nursery industry, we've learned that anyone can supply a customer with plants and garden supplies. But it's supplying those plants and supplies backed by a knowledgeable staff that can transform a garden and take it from ordinary to extraordinary. That's what we do at Sagawa Nursery. Why be ordinary when you can be extraordinary? Sagawa Nursery, growing beyond the ordinary.
I am at the new Al's Garden and Home in Wilsonville with Cindy. And Cindy, you know, it's that time to be on our patios and have containers. And the plants that I'm looking here is kind of like a tropical theme.
Yeah, Judy. It's really nice to kind of bring these kind of more tropical, give you that feel of that Hawaiian vacation and have that right there on your patio, even here in the Pacific Northwest.
Definitely, and sometimes we can't go to Hawaii, so it's nice to have that feel around.
Yes.
So let's talk about, you know, I'm going to be walking around the garden center and I have this cart, and maybe that's a little bit of a help to have a cart while you're building.
Yeah, we find it's really good to kind of just build right on your cart. You can have the pot picked out and know what color you're going with there, but then you can bring in your plants, you can arrange them on the cart as though it were your pot and kind of build it there before you actually get them potted up into that container. So.
And I love when you come here, they have that little kind of poem that helps you figure out what kind of plants you need. So you need to teach us that poem.
Yeah, so we promote the thriller, the chiller, and the spiller. So when you're talking about the thriller, it's that tall focal, that wow plant that's in your container. That filler is going to be that low medium, maybe a pop of color, just kind of fill that pot out a little bit. And then the spiller is what's going to drop over the edge of that pot and kind of soften the edge of the pot, but draw it all together that way too.
And I love the colors on this, and I love that this impatiens can go in the sun, which is, look at that color, to have in a sunny spot would be dynamite.
Yeah, beautiful, bright pop, and works really well in the full sun. For an impatient, that's really nice.
It is nice. And then this is a nice color combination too. The pink kind of really just changes the whole look.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got the pink of this impatient here tied in with the chartreuses. Again, your spiller there. Just gives it a nice, again, that tropical theme that we're looking for. So.
And then the phormium, that'll live over many years. Maybe not every winter, but many years it will.
Yeah, most winters it's going to do fine for you in containers. Gives you that nice height in that thriller.
There you go.
So.
And then you can even use shrubs in containers, which are cool. So what's this one?
Definitely. This is a variegated aurelia.
Cool.
Big leaf. Really nice as far as that variegated leaf on that. Again, that thriller that you can use in the pot. And then we've thrown in a coleus there and some vinca to be your spiller. So.
And this would be in sun or shade?
This would be more of a shade container that you're doing here. Yeah.
That is nice. So really you have something for any kind of space that you have at your garden or home.
Correct, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then these are already pre-made, and you have a service that you can make these up. If we're just we don't have any ideas today, we're in a rush, you can just pick these up and go.
You bet. Yeah, we've got some pre-made. Come in and pick from what we've got. If you have some of your own ideas and a pot that is really your favorite pot, bring it in and we can put them all together for you and have it ready for you to take home.
It looks like you have lots of different coleus, which are so much fun to play with.
Yes.
Because the colors are just so unusual and wide-ranging.
Yes, exactly.
Now, Cindy, I noticed that your thriller is way in the back of the pot, so that's really a different look than the other ones.
Yeah, Judy, we designed this pot for someone that's going to put this up against their house or maybe up against the pole that they're not really going to visualize or see it from the back side of the pot. So you've added your thriller there in the back instead of centered on that pot.
And then you still went through with the fillers and the spillers.
Yes, we did.
Definitely. And then this last one, it's very dynamic because the foliage is kind of light and chartreuse and a deep dark pot.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, the fern here with your kind of almost an autumn color there tied in with the orange on the begonias in that dark pot really gives it a nice pop there.
And with the hosta, and really this is going to last through frost, and maybe you just change out the begonia in the fall and put something else there for fall.
Exactly, yeah. This pot could just keep going for you.
That is nice. Well, really, you can go to any of the Al's Garden and Home. There's 4 of them, and you can have someone help you put a container together, or you can buy one that's already made if you're under a rushing time. So please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to the Al's website, and you can find out all of the places that they are located, and come out and kind of be creative and have a new container for your deck this summer. Thanks so much, Cindy.
Thank you, Judy.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Portland Nursery. Gardening makes for wonderful family time. Whether it's updating your landscape or planting a veggie garden, at Portland Nursery, our great selection and staff of professionals can help ensure your family's success. Visit portlandnursery.com for a list of our classes, events, or sign up for our newsletter. Portland Nursery. Let our family help your family grow at 50th and Stark or 90th and Division.
Little Baja is your source for a whole lot of terracotta and concrete too. From bird baths and benches to Buddhas, bears, and fountains, plus the exclusive Baja chimney. We have an amazing variety of the finest in terracotta and concrete containers. Come check out our selection of statuary for any garden theme or setting. So for something for the garden, deck, or patio, come see us at Little Baja on East Burnside in Portland. Find us on Facebook too.
Well, I am standing in a kitchen with Joelle from Smith Berry Barn. And Joelle, today we're going to be talking about berries because it is that time of season when there's so many different varieties coming on, but you have some really specific and easy ways to how, once picked, taking care of them to their richest and fullest flavor for us, right?
Exactly. So basically what's important to us is that you take care of them pretty quickly.
Right.
We are a no spray farm on our berries, and because they don't have spray, they don't have the added protection of from mildew and molds and things like that. So basically we like it if you can take care of your fruit within 1 to 2 days of picking them.
So when spray, I always assumed that your no spray meant you didn't take care of disease and insects, but that's not true. This stuff is a lot of places spray to extend the lifetime once they're picked, and you don't do that.
Exactly.
Nice.
We just don't spray anything.
Nice.
So you're not getting spray of any kind, which, you know, that's the one place that it does maybe hurt us, is when we do get heat and moisture in our air, we have a little issue with that they might mildew on you a little bit quicker.
So tell me some of the things that you guys have found out that really make them fresh longer for your house.
So basically what we want you to do is we want you to get them right home as fast as you can. We don't like it when they sit in the trunk of your car and you go grocery shopping.
Especially on hot days.
Exactly.
That would be terrible.
So get them home as quickly as you can. Get them right into a chilled, refrigerator is obviously best. We also prefer that you don't wash them before you refrigerate them. So refrigerate, wait to wash until right before you're ready to use them.
Okay. And then is there specifics? To me, washing would be run them under water. But so what are the tips you can give us about that?
Exactly. So it depends on the berry, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to do a little bit of, different care for the different berries. So I'm going to start with strawberries. Strawberries are one that are pretty durable as far as washing, and so we just put them in a colander. We've already rinsed them under the sink, and then basically once you're ready to use them, we're just taking off our caps.
And is that because I've seen them sometimes out in fields, if you pick fields, I've seen berries laying around without caps, and I thought it was people just throwing them away, but you actually do take them off sometimes, don't you?
Well, we take them off right before we want to use them.
Okay.
So preferably if you can keep the caps on, that'll prolong the life of them.
And if you're going to U-pick and do it that day, then you could also do that, but better just to do it right before you do
I
them.
prefer you try to keep the caps on. If you want to pick them off while you're out in the field, you can, but we definitely want you to use them then as fast as you can.
And what can I do to help?
So you're going to move on to raspberries, and raspberries are a little softer. If you notice, they do not have a core inside. So raspberry is one that loses its core when you pick it, and that means it's softer and more fragile. So basically what we're going to do is I'm going to have you dump gently into the water, and you'll just kind of float them in there. And you'll notice
and they do float, don't they?
They do float. And then a little bit of just gentle swishing if you want to use your hands or a colander. And then once you feel like they've swished around a little and gotten any of the little field dust off, we go ahead and just dip and
and then you're just going to let them drain a little.
Yep. And so what we're doing here is we're laying the berries out on a paper towel. Just to give them a little chance to air dry. And so depending on what you're doing with your fruit after you've prepared it, you don't want it to necessarily be wet. So we're going to do a little bit of freezing with this fruit. And so if we let it air dry, you won't get the water crystals in your fruit when you're once you freeze them.
Right, and you would see that when you freeze stuff. If there's moisture in there, it often kind of like gets this kind of frosty looking stuff.
Exactly.
And then I have a question about, though, how do you use, like a lot of times when you pick fruit, it isn't all ripe at one time, so you get stuff that isn't fully ripe.
Exactly.
How can you tell that clearly?
So that's another good tip is when you get your fruit home, if you want to sort through it a little bit, you'll find that some of your fruit is a little bit more ripe. If you look at these are tayberries here that we've picked. And the tayberries are a variety, it's a cross between a blackberry and a raspberry. So you get a little bit of the softness and perishability of the raspberry with the inner core of a blackberry. Some of these even still have their stems on. So we just want to sort through and we're looking for the darkest and the softest. And then we would use those first in whatever we're, making a milkshake or a smoothie or
even
putting it on your cereal. Exactly. Yeah. And then once you've used your ripest ones, then the next day you can go into your, a little bit less ripe out of your refrigerator.
So what we're going to do is finish putting these strawberries out and then put this in the freezer. So we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, you already have some that have been frozen. Exactly. We're going to look at. Yep. Perfect. Okay, Joelle, so this is how they look. This is all strawberries, but this is how it looks when you froze them, right?
Exactly. So we just took these out of the freezer. Basically what we did is we put some parchment paper underneath. Okay. We took them off the paper towels, put them on some parchment paper on the freezer tray, freeze them for just long enough till they get solid, and then we have individually frozen berries, and then we go ahead and just turn them into a freezer bag or whatever type of container you like, and they will last about 6 months in the freezer.
And you always tell people, be sure to put the date on there,
exactly,
right? So
yes.
You know exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Some of the great things about the Northwest are the fruit and the vegetables that we get. So if you want to learn more about how you can also gather them in and freeze them and make them last longer for yourself, you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to their website because they have a whole list of all this kind of information, or better yet, come out and see them and get the information and the fruit for yourself. Thank you so much, Joelle.
Thank you.
Worms are an interesting creature that we find in our garden, and they're really helpful too. Well, I'm at Wavra Farms with Diane Wavra, and Diane, you really have a cool kind of experiment, educational thing that you do with kids today.
We do. So we have a kids club class, and today we're offering our worm class for the children. So worm class is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon today. Okay. So we always start class with a little bit of education. Cool. So we like this little book, Earthworm's Life. So we're going to talk about the life cycle of the worm throughout the year. All right. And so after we read the book and learn some new vocab words, we are going to go for our experiment.
Do we get to touch worms?
We sure do.
Oh, that's so much fun. Okay, so what do we do?
So what we're going to do, first off, is we've got these nice, beefy little creatures here.
All right.
And you're going to pick a worm.
Okay, I'm going to pick this one.
It's going to feel like wet noodle, so don't be too worried about it.
All right. Oh,
give it a little
it's a big one. Okay.
And I'm going to have you put it on the orange paper. That way we can watch our worm. Okay. And what we want to do now is we want to pick out which is the head and which is the tail.
All right. Well, that just moved.
It did just move.
I'm going to say that's the head.
And that would probably be the head.
All right, I had a 50-50 chance. All right.
Sure did.
Okay, so you pick that out, but they're both moving, so that's kind of interesting.
So usually, yep, he's going to tend to kind of move one way and the other, and yeah, kind of move around.
All right.
So then the next thing we want to do is we're going to take one of our ice cubes. We're going to put our ice cube right next to the worm. You don't have to touch the worm, just put it anywhere on it.
Okay.
And what we want to do is that ice cube melts a little bit, and we want to see if our worm tends to go towards the ice cube or if he's going to stray away a little bit. So let's just put him right about there and see. Sometimes he'll go underneath.
All right.
And kind of what we are watching for is to see. So,
oh, look at them. Whoa.
They kind of tend to not like the cold, but the nice thing about the earthworm is they tend to breathe through their skin.
Oh,
so if he dries out, he's going to die. So it's one of those things that they like a little bit of the moisture, and that's going to help that worm to stay moist. And so we just kind of like to see what the worm does with the cold and the wet at the same time.
Very cool. Okay, I bet there's something else going on.
There is something else going on, so go ahead and take that ice cube off there. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to cover our worm, and we just cover him with a piece of newspaper, and we let him just sit a sec. And what we want to see is when it gets dark out, usually worms will go into what is like a makeshift hibernation. Oh. So we experimented with a little bit of the cold, and now we're exposing him to some darkness, and we just let him sit it for a second, and we'll flip up and see what he's going to do.
Ah, so why do you do these classes? I mean, you get kids here, I mean, that must be kind of wild.
Kids are kind of crazy, and especially worms class is a little loud, a little bit of squeals. So, but it's a great way to introduce kids into the garden. And some of the fun things about the gardens is obviously the worms and the benefits that they help with in the garden.
Well, it's so much fun to get kids and family out in the garden. I mean,
Yes.
that's always what we want to do when we do our kindergarten segments. So it's so great that you're doing them too.
Thank you. So we try to do a kids club like every other weekend, and so it's a great way just to get kids to come out and check out the different ways to interact in their gardens.
Excellent.
So let's take a look at our worm
All
and
right.
see what's happening. So we're going to look really quick.
Okay.
And usually he is pretty laid out. So he's all stretched out, kind of in the relaxed state, which is always kind of a fun thing. So
Just chilling.
He's just kind of hanging out. So the next thing we're going to do, and the final thing, is we're going to take that worm and we're going to put him on top of that soil there.
All
So
right,
go
I
ahead
get
and
to pick him up
our
again?
worm up again.
All
Stick
right.
him on there.
Okay.
And so next he is going to do some special work.
And we're going to keep that a secret because to find out this last kind of trick that the worm is going to do, you have to come out to Kids Club today, right?
You do. 2 o'clock today, and we'll see what's going to happen with our worm.
Well, if you are interested in this class today or anything going on at Wavra Farms, where can we find out?
Well, you can check out our website at wavrafarms.com. Otherwise, Facebook is a great place to look, and all of our classes are listed.
Well, we really like when families go out in their garden, so this is a great project to do. You can come here and do it. Maybe you can do this at home and find some earthworms, dig them up in the garden, and do it at your own house. Well, thanks so much for all the ideas.
Thank you.
It's great.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
When you plant your flower baskets and containers this year, consider Black Gold All-Purpose Potting Mix for the best results. This worm castings-enriched, well-drained potting soil has a controlled release fertilizer to feed your plants up to 6 months. Black Gold All-Purpose Potting Mix now contains resilience for enhanced plant growth. Available at garden centers everywhere. For more information, visit blackgold.bz. All the riches of the earth.
Don't you just love all the things inside Garden Time magazine? So much great information about gardening.
I do, William. There's new plants, adventures, recipes, local gardeners, home tips.
And it's free, right in your email. But there's 2 things you left out.
What's that?
You and me. We write some of the articles and get to share our gardening knowledge.
Of course. I should have... William, where did you go?
Right here, Judy. You'll find both of us every month in Garden Time magazine.
Sign up for your free subscription on the Garden Time website. I am in one of the most fun gardens at the Oregon Garden in Silverton, and I'm with Ty. And Ty, before we start, what is your title? I love it.
I am the Director of Horticulture and Botanical Curator for the Oregon Garden.
I love that. Just like a museum, you're a curator.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. But this is one of the most fun gardens because kids can really be kids here.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what can they see?
Well, we've got a lot of wonderful attractions. One would be we have a functioning hobbit house out here.
Wow.
We have a weird plants garden. As you can see, we have very whimsical annual displays as well. Back behind the hedge, we have a train garden, a model train garden, which is a pretty wonderful thing too.
That is so cool because the Hobbit garden you can actually crawl through, and you can pretend that you're one of the hobbits on their quest. So that is so great, and you can kind of roll down that hill and just kind of pretend and just be fun, have fun.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That is nice. And then tell me about the train garden.
The train garden was built, I believe it was about 8 years ago, a partnership with a lot of local train clubs. I had no idea that train gardening was such a huge thing, but it is.
Yes.
It's monstrously huge. And so we had one that was installed back behind this hedge with a lot of dwarf and miniature conifers. And a gentleman by the name of Patrick comes out here, one of our volunteers, and helps us out a lot. And if anybody has any inquiries as to how to build a train garden, or more importantly, how to maintain the train garden, you know, we have the personnel that understand that. Let me tell you what, you know, being a public garden and having a nice little thing running around, we've figured out how to make it functional for sure.
Exactly. And so I like you to talk too about how parents can enjoy this garden too, because it's a safety garden too.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the nice parts about the children's garden is there's 2 points of egress, one by the tram path and the one over there next to the bathrooms, which are located directly at the children's garden. So it's very, very safe. We've got a shrub and a fence that surround the entire garden.
Nice.
So you can just kind of let the kids run wild and whatnot. Well, don't let them run wild. But you know, it's a very safe situation. We've got a lot of hardscape, very contrived paths, a lot of things for them to do, and it's just a very nice, comfortable area. It's located pretty much central in the garden, so it's easy to find. Yeah.
And I think it's so great that you really have a space for them, so you can kind of start curating a kid's love of gardening and of the outdoors.
Absolutely, yeah, that's very important.
And Ty, you touched on the weird plants, and there's so many weird plants and weird topiaries. So what's all that about?
Absolutely. So the topiaries are really, really fun. I get a lot of questions. Does that plant grow like that? And every once in a while, you can rib people and like, oh yes, that is a deer aravita right there. And you know, but our weird plants garden is located behind us, and in there's some nice placards that explain what the plant is, what its characteristics are, and why it is kind of weird.
And really, to get kids even more involved in here, you can do birthday parties, which I think would be so much fun.
Absolutely. We've got a very nice cedar pavilion located right over there, and it's a good space.
So we contact you about that, or just contact the office about that?
I would go to our website, and that has all the contact information that you would ever need, OregonGarden.org.
All right. Well, you see, there's one part of the garden that you now know all about, the children's garden, and really big people can come into. It's not just for little ones. So come on out to the Oregon Garden and really have a great day with all the family. Thanks so much, Ty.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
William, I'm serving you papers.
Oh.
But don't worry, it's a pair of 3-day passes for the Oregon Jamboree.
And if you want to know how you can lock up these 3 passes, all you have to do is go to gardentime.tv, send us your name in your email.
So don't forget, enter today.
No matter what shade your green thumb is, you can find the plants and the help you need at Wavra Farms. We're filled with an astounding array of colorful plants to fill your garden. In addition to wonderful annuals and perennials, we are known for our hanging baskets. We also have all your garden essentials, and we have great garden gifts too. From beginner to expert, you'll find something new and different with every visit. Wavra Farms, located off Highway 22, Exit 5, east of Salem.
Well, Garden Time loves showing you projects from the wall. We've seen them many times over the years. Well, we have another one today. I'm with homeowner Heidi. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. And thanks for inviting us here. You have a beautiful front garden. Unbelievable.
Thank you so much. We love it.
I bet you do, because it looks well used, well entertained in.
Thank you. We're going to have a great summer for entertaining coming up with the sun out.
Excellent. So you had some challenges here when you moved in. So what were those challenges?
We had a yard that, as you can see from the street, it sloped down to the house, and there was a window that was about 2 to 3 feet above, and I wanted to have it excavated out where we'd have usable space. The way it was, we couldn't even put a chair out in the front yard, so it was totally unusable.
And then you had a huge tree that blocked everything.
Yes, we had a huge blue spruce that we took out, and you could then see the house. But that was just the beginning. We needed a lot more work.
And so what was the next step there? What did you do?
Well, the next step was I called Jake McCutcheon from the Wall. I knew him because I'd had him as a student at Franklin High School. And I really enjoyed and liked the family a lot, and thought if I ever had a project, I would call the Wall. And he came right out. He told me, oh, yeah, we can do this, we can do this. And then I said, I need to have some expertise on getting an actual plan. I wanted to make sure drainage was right. He picked up his phone and he said, we have this landscape designer, we use him all the time. And he called Larry, and Larry was over at my house within 20 minutes. And we started the plan. August of 2 years ago, and then we actually started the work last year in April, I believe, finished by June, and this is what
There
you
it
see
is.
this year. So
Oh, it's beautiful.
no, thank you.
Well, it is really a collaborative effort here, and so now I'm going to talk to Larry, who's the designer, and so you met with Heidi inside the house, which is interesting that you started there to talk about this.
Well, it's always a good place to start is inside because you can see the flavor and the flair of the customer and just get comfortable outside the project, and talks about their wishes and their hopes and just get comfortable. And it just has so much color in her life that I just wanted to bring that from inside to outside, and it was really nice.
And so I could see that you put lots of color, lots of plantings in, and then you had to just pick some different materials for the patio and then for the wall.
Yeah, we like stamped concrete as a great option compared to pavers, and I think it's less maintenance than pavers. And the wall material is Allen block courtyard stone. It's the same on both sides, so then it looks, you don't see the back of a wall in this application. We just worked on some of the details with the drainage problems that we talked about. Everything sloped to the house. There was plants everywhere and a postage stamp of lawn, and it was just nice to be able to flatten this area out, correct all the drainage problems, install a French door, and bring the inside outside.
Well, you can really see that from that view from inside, and lovely space to relax in and entertain. Well, Larry touched on some of the materials here that the wall used, but I'm going to go talk to Jake and really get the details about that. Well, now I'm with Jake from the wall, and Jake, you were actually the first contact for Heidi, and then you brought a designer in.
That's correct, yeah. After kind of seeing the layout of the project here and her overall agenda and what she wanted to see, we figured it'd be best to bring in our designer, and that's Larry Borland, who you guys were just speaking to. And he came up with this design, and it worked out fantastic. He really did a good job taking in the lighting and just everything she wanted to see.
Yeah, and I see there's a lot of different textures here, so how important is that to a design?
It's very important, very important. We have all sorts of different types of retaining walls. This is right here, this is a segmental retaining wall. It's manufactured by Oregon Block and Paver. It's called the Allen Block Courtyard. So when Heidi was saying she wanted to kind of create a courtyard, I figured what a better product to use than the courtyard block. It's great for small retaining walls, and it also is capable of being freestanding as well, which helps in this product.
And I love this stamped patio. This is really lovely.
Yeah, this is colored stamped concrete. We recommend this for all your patio areas. We don't really want it for driveways. That's why we have the sand finish over there. But yeah, it's colored, and you're kind of loose with what you want in the color there. We can kind of custom it a little bit.
So were there any problems here that you had to solve?
There was a few. The biggest was going to be the drainage. We obviously came in, excavated down, so with all the water that's going to be flowing, that's a big issue. So we ended up putting drainage behind the retaining walls and trying to reroute all the water as best as possible. Obviously, when you're digging down this far, you're eliminating a lot of the area for the water to go, and it's just going to want to pool right in here, but we're used to that. We encounter that on almost every project.
Oh, of course, of course. And so then once that was solved, how much longer with the project?
It was about a 3-week project. From the time I broke ground to the time we were all done, it was about 3 weeks, and then she was entertaining.
That is nice. That was the main goal.
That's it. Got her what she wanted.
So how can we contact you? How can we find you?
You can get a hold of us via the internet at buythewall.com, or you can call us at 503-735-9255.
So you can see this beautiful entertaining area that Heidi has now in the front of her house. It's the sky's the limit, whatever your creativity is, and the wall's creativity. So please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website, and you can find out how you can have this at your house. Thanks so much, Jake.
Thank you.
Well, I'm standing here with two wonderful people, and a beautiful garden actually takes a lot of time, design, work, and thought, and a lot goes into the process before we even start it. So I'm here with Teresa Hazen from Legacy. Teresa, tell me again what we're doing here, because this is new and different, isn't it?
This is a really new and special garden at Legacy Good Samaritan. This is a block away from the main hospital. It has been one of our therapeutic spaces, but it has declined over the years and needed significant remodeling, and we're at that point right now. And so a main use will be to have the Rehab Institute of Oregon patients come down for PT, OT, and recreational therapy down here at the garden. And as well, we're designing it for a neighborhood park really aimed at families and their children.
Because all of the parks you do at the Legacy Systems, you really want the community to feel as part of it. You don't have to be at the hospital for a reason. You can still come in, and this is designed specifically for that.
Exactly. This is for community benefit.
And one of the people that has been a part of this process is you're Dan Callahan. So there's a secret here, though, as to why this is special to you and why you're a part of it. Tell me about who that is.
Yes, this project, it's not often where you get to have a real deep personal meaning at the same time you go to work professionally. So this also includes a memorial for my uncle.
And
my
he
late
is?
John Callahan, the cartoonist. Who
Really?
lived a couple blocks away from here and spent some of his later days at the Rehabilitation Institute of Oregon.
Right.
So, part of doing this as a contractor was worked for Legacy for years and loves to, help build these community foundation jobs with them. We're also building a memorial to, celebrate his cartoons.
Right.
Have an accessible space to also, highlight his biography.
And so I'm sure, Dan, that I would just briefly interacting with you, I bet you really pay so much attention to every job you do. But let's be honest, this is a family member, and so this has got to take a real shine to you, doesn't it?
It does. This is probably number one on my list of projects, and it's something special to come to every day.
All right, well, there you have a part of this now, but we're going to take a break, go and chat to another person about even more of the design part of this garden. Thank you both. Well, now I am in a whole different part of this new park, and I am with Brian Bainson. And Brian, tell me what it is you do and who you work for.
Sure. I'm a landscape architect here in Portland, Oregon, and I do a range of types of projects, but a big part of my work is I've been working for Legacy Health System for a number of years on a lot of their healing and therapy gardens.
Wonderful.
And I'm here today to talk about a new Legacy park.
So you have some experience working with these types of gardens.
Yes.
I would wonder, though, from what I've heard, this was really nothing. It was just a whole lot of old stuff, trees. It wasn't really ready to invite people in.
Sure.
What was the process you went through about thinking of all those different aspects to make it completely different?
Sure. Well, as in all the Legacy projects, we formed a design team to determine what the hospital wanted to get out of the park so that they could use the space with their patients, their families who come to the hospital, the staff. And so we came up with what we'd like to see in the design, basically to make it a friendly space for families and children and all the rest of the community, and really to bring the community in, because the park was a very old, tired park. It had plantings around the perimeter that made it almost a barrier to come in to use the
Almost
park.
like a fence then.
Almost like a fence.
Yeah. And then I think that you've also, because I see some old parks, like this sidewalk, there's an old fountain that's not going to be a fountain. What's that going to be?
Right, so a big challenge was, well, what from the original design could we use for the new park? So there was an old fountain.
Because there was a budget.
We were on a very tight budget.
Right.
So there was an old fountain we can turn into repurpose as a planter and put a lot of color, seasonal color in there. And then we had an old concrete and brick walk system that we can salvage part of that.
Nice.
And then add new elements to match the old elements with new brick and new concrete to tie the whole thing together.
And then Brian, there was also, because this is still a legacy garden, so they're constantly thinking about how to utilize these spaces to help people in rehabilitation and stuff. That's all factored in, isn't it?
Exactly. So a big thing was if they bring patients out here from the Rehab Institute, they could do the therapies that they do with them at the hospital. Walking up a steep walkway, walking onto the grass. So we have large grass areas so the patients can learn to work on the grass where they can actually do putting, golf, and there's gravel areas so they can learn how to go the transition from walking on a hard surface to a soft surface.
And it really was designed because you wanted to include people in the community to use it. So there's all kinds of ways that you direct people in, and lighting at night.
Right. So a big part of it was just getting people into the park. So we've added a kind of a crosswalk. So now the park design is generally an X, so you can walk. You can open up the park. We created more areas to sit, more areas to be, and then with the plantings to really have a 4-season of garden experience. So there's something interesting all the time, something blooming, some leaf color changing, some bark interest, some leaf interest, so really a garden.
And then as you walk through the garden and come out this way, this is also where the Callahan thing is working.
Right, and so then I consulted with the Callahan Memorial folks, Tad Savinar, who's a local artist, and Jesse Stemler, who's another landscape architect in town, and we worked on the Callahan piece together.
Lovely.
So the plantings in this area will be a little bit different. They'll be a little bit more unique types of plants.
Nice. Well, there you have it. You know, we love gardening, and sometimes the gardenings come out a bit different than we're used to, but this is going to be yet another beautiful one at Legacy Hospital. So for more information, we invite you to go to gardentime.tv, and we'll click you over to their website. Thank you so much, Brian.
Great, thank you.
Stages, 25 shows, one sweet weekend. It's the 25th anniversary of the Oregon Jamboree, presented by Boulder Falls Inn, starring Jason Aldean, Little Big Town, Chris Jansen, Lauren Elena, Chase Rice, and on his farewell tour, Kenny Rogers. The Oregon Jamboree happening August 4th through the 6th. Tickets and camping on sale now at OregonJamboree.com.
Get this thing started, it's my kind of party.
At Garland Nursery, you'll find
top quality plants,
4 generations of garden know-how,
fun and fantastic garden decor,
and the best in garden supplies.
Come visit us at Garland Nursery.
Since 1937, inspiring beautiful and bountiful gardens.
So I am standing here in the Northwest Natural Appliance Center. I'm here with Trevor. How are you, Trevor? And we're going to be talking about grills because it's that time of year, isn't it? So first of all, I wanted to ask, you know, you can buy grills all over the place nowadays, but I'm wondering, why would someone come in and why would they consider, I think I want to pay a little more money and get something maybe better or something like that. Why would they do that to begin with?
Well, Northwest Natural, we've always sold retail for over 100 years.
Wow.
And Northwest Natural's been here, the appliance center's been here for 35.
So you've got some skill and some experience.
Got a lot of experience
to share with people.
That's right.
So let's start in sharing about this one right here. Tell me about this grill and what's been changing with it.
Well, this is a company that's called Napoleon. Napoleon's been around for quite a while. I believe it's 40 years. They're based in Canada. Company that has been always taking pride in their high quality grills. This is 304 stainless steel on the front.
Nice.
304 stainless, which is a high nickel content. So it's something that's going to last in the Northwest.
And what would be the value of doing this type of grilling versus the old iron stuff that most have?
The cast iron is great. You got to maintain it a little bit more, especially in the weather, Northwest. So you get the covers on there, and it's going to cause it to corrode over time. It's cast iron.
So you would probably treat it like Grandma did her cast iron.
Exactly.
You still have to make sure that it's oiled and all that
That's
stuff. So Trevor, there's a lot of new stuff that's happening too. Tell me about what's over here.
Yeah, so this is the infrared burner. This is produced by Napoleon. The infrared technology has really been around for quite a while. Temperatures, you're at 1800 degrees. It takes just a matter of seconds, 30 seconds to get this up to 1800 degrees.
Wow.
Really quick to cook on. You get your steaks going in just a matter of minutes.
That's a filet mignon's dream right
Exactly.
there, isn't it?
That's right.
And then, of course, I've seen rotisseries for a long time, but they're really coming into this kind of structure more and more.
It is, yeah. The rotisserie, you've got the burner in the back, so instead of using your main burners, which is normally down the bottom, you turn that rear burner on, turn the motor on for the rotisserie, and just slowly cook with just that element in the back.
And then tell me about this. This seems new to me too.
This is a charcoal tray. This is actually pretty unique to some gas grills. Not a lot of the manufacturers out there have them, but what you do is you take this tray and you put it down below the cooking grates. So in this model, this is cast iron. So you take this out, and down below you have these little tents. Little sear plates is what they call them. These just pop out, and then the charcoal tray sits down below.
Oh, that's cool, because then you can actually get the flavors that charcoal brings, and that really adds to the barbecue.
Correct. And then when you get the gas going, start up the charcoal, and then you turn the gas off, and away you go. You've got yourself a charcoal grill.
So now, Trevor, this really is, and it is a high-end grill, but tell me about some of the really cool features, because there's several.
There are. This is the Heston grill. It's manufactured down in Anaheim, California, so it's a U.S. built grill. There's an infrared burner on here, just like the Napoleon.
Except this one is literally inside.
It's
not
inside, that's right, which keeps it nice and contained here. So this is stainless steel cooking grates. So now on this one, this is kind of a unique feature where you would normally have the rotisserie right across here, which is also designed for, but up above is where the infrared burner. That's where you cook the rotisserie meat, but you can create what's called a salamander grill. And where you put steaks up here, it's almost like a broiler.
Very cool indeed. And then it comes in a lot of different cool colors too, so it's really it's a trendy type structure.
That's
I
right,
like
this
that.
is the Citra. This is a beautiful color.
And then Trevor, you guys also really can help out with outdoor kitchens as well.
That's right, that's right. We do outdoor kitchens, design them U-shape, L-shape, the way that you would have just an outdoor entertaining area.
Fun, wonderful. And what about people that want to do propane or maybe want to change over to gas only? You guys can really help out there as well.
That's right, yeah, it's pretty simple to do. What you need is somebody who can run the gas line for you and simply hook up your gas appliances, your barbecue, side burners, things like that out there.
So there you have it. You know, it is that time of year when we're all just itching to get outside more and more and more. And if you want to get outside and cook, no better place to go than Northwest Natural Appliance Center. Give them a call. You can go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website. Trevor, my friend, thank you so much.
Thanks, William.
For our tip of the week is what to do when you have needles on your lawn. You know, it really gets to be very irritating, especially if you love to run barefoot on your lawn. The best thing to do is after you mow, go through and rake up all the needles so they come to the surface of the lawn. And then get your lawnmower again and then roll right back over it and it'll pick it up. You can bag it, you can put it on your compost and really make your lawn look so beautiful. Raking up your needles, that's our tip of the week.
In the summer months, water use can double or triple due to outdoor watering. Here are 3 simple tips to help save water and money this summer. Set your sprinklers so that they're watering your lawn and plants and not the pavement. Water early in the morning or later in the evening when temperatures are cooler. Group plants with similar water, shade, and sun needs together. For more water conservation information and tips, check out the Regional Water Providers Consortium at www.conserveh2o.org.
Walking into Standard TV and Appliance is immediately an awe-inspiring moment. Not only are there vast displays, but there are functioning kitchens.
To be able to stand in a kitchen setting and look at appliances and touch them and feel them and see how they work is a huge benefit for us.
Whether it's a contemporary kitchen or whether it's more of a classic setting, it gives people ideas and gets people excited about the finished product.
Since 1947, we set the standard. Standard TV and Appliance.
Since 1982, the Wall has been making local gardens beautiful, naturally. Whether you need a new wall, concrete patio, fire pit, or driveway, the Wall's expert craftsmen can build it. We back up our work with a 5-year warranty, so you'll know it'll last. We use the highest quality materials, including stamped colored concrete, natural stone, and we're the leader in using recycled concrete. Create an outdoor environment you'll enjoy for years, with the help of your friends at The Wall.
I am at a beautiful place in Lebanon, Oregon, and I'm with Leslie. And Leslie, what is your position here?
I am the Senior Sales and Event Manager here at Boulder Falls Inn and Conference Center. Behind us, you can see Boulder Falls, our beautiful new hotel. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. We have 84 beautifully appointed guest rooms, in addition to an 8,000 square foot event center and 5,000 square feet of beautiful patio space out here suitable for weddings, events, corporate retreats, yoga, a little bit of everything.
Definitely.
In addition to 1847 Bar and Grill, which is our Wine Spectator Award-winning restaurant, which has been a huge hit.
Oh, and it's really delicious. We just had lunch, so it's great. And a beautiful Japanese-style garden,
Yes.
which is unbelievable in this setting. So that is interesting that all came about. So how did that come about?
So one thing I didn't mention, we have an amazing relationship with Western University of Health Sciences. So here on the Samaritan Health Sciences campus, We have a medical school, an osteopathic medical school, which was constructed. They then built this beautiful 1-acre Japanese garden and koi pond, but we wanted to bring it all together and make it a full-service, one-stop place to hold conferences and events. So they constructed the garden, obviously followed by the conference center, and then 2 years ago the hotel went up, which was all part of the plan, and it was really exciting to see it come together. You don't even have to leave the property, you can just be here and do everything all at once. So.
And it really is a community project because your family helped with the garden, didn't
Yes, actually my dad in Cascade Timber Consulting donated the boulders that you see out here in the garden, so hits close to home.
Definitely.
Really fun.
And the community can come and stroll on this.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, we love having our community come through, whether they have lunch in the restaurant and come out and stroll through the garden. Some of our veterans from the veterans home right next door come out onto the patio and enjoy the sun in the afternoon. So it's really a treat for the Lebanon community and surrounding communities for that matter.
Yeah, and to be right next to the hospital, because we all know that how important it is to have a kind of meditative place, a break from being the stress of being in a hospital, visiting people, or even for staff at the hospital.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, our staff, we come out and...
Oh, you too, yes.
Yes, we actually forget. You take it for granted when you work here every day, but I try to take breaks every day and come out and walk through the garden and feed the fish, and it's definitely a venue that is unlike anything else in the area. In fact, in the state of Oregon.
Oh,
so
true.
Very zen.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk to Bill right now, and we're going to learn more about the details of the garden. Well, now I'm talking with Bill Rao, who actually you're the idea guy. You told me about this beautiful garden here. So how did it come about?
When I went to college at Lewis and Clark in Portland, we had overseas programs, and I went to Japan for 6 months. And one of the students who went with me, sister, married Hoichi Kurisu, who is an international developer, and I've known him for 40 years. And being involved as a volunteer for 40 years at the hospital, I went to a class and they said that medical care was changing from curing to healing. And I go, healing? That's Hoichi. And so I convinced them to start developing gardens, and this is the third of 3 gardens, but it's over 1 acre in size, and it has the conference center and the hotel, and it makes it a very, very unique facility.
Oh, very much, because we all know it's just so nice to be able to be in a garden. You're in a different place. Your mind is in a different place when you come in a garden, so it is just gorgeous.
Well, thank you.
And so do you have some places in the garden that you love to see or visit or just relax with?
Well, a couple of things that I really enjoy is the fact that these gardens were contributed by the public in this area. And one of the big items are the rocks that come out of the Cascades. And one of the people in the area, a timber company, gave us all the rocks.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
And then when Hoichi was designing the garden 40 years ago, he had started a nursery. And he had kept those trees until he found the right garden to make it work. And so a lot of these trees, even though they've been here for only 3 years, are 40 to 50 years old.
Oh, and they're just tremendous because they look like they've been growing for so long and that this garden is much older than it really is.
Right, but I see it as a community healing environment, and it's free to the public, and people can come in and enjoy it, and it's very unique for a timber community to have something like this.
Oh, very much, very much. And really, everyone here has said they invite everyone in the community to come and visit. So if you need more information about it, please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to the Boulder Falls Inn website, and you can find out where it is and come and visit. It's really worth a trip for any of us to come down and see it. Thanks so much for your foresight. It was really wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching today, and thanks to Smith Berry Barn for letting us hang out. Now don't forget, their Big Berry Festival is happening on the 4th of July, so please go to Smith Berry Barn website for more information.
And as we said in the opening, we wanted to remind you this is our last hour-long show for this season. However, still 30 minutes every Saturday morning until the end of November.
And if you need any information about today's show or past shows, please go to gardentime.tv.
We're so glad you choose to spend time with us today, and we look forward to doing all of this again next week, right here on Garden Time.
proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.